an OC at Mizzou in 2016-2017. What do you remember about playing Kentucky then, and what do you know about the team now?
Yeah, I remember the last game in particular, tight ball game, back and forth. They're athletic, they're physical. They were long at that time. They still are today. I think they've continued to evolve inside the program. Lost a tight one, came down to one of the last plays in the minute, and I think we had a wide receiver got the ball batted down in a 2-minute situation, cost us a little bit of clock.
We'll go to your right, Coach, front row.
Good. Tyler Shaw with KBTX in College Station. Coach, as a national champion quarterback, how excited are you to come to a fan base and a program like Tennessee, who's had success at the quarterback with Peyton Manning? And what's your relationship with Peyton?
Yeah, great tradition of great quarterback play. Peyton Manning, T. Martin. You come to Tennessee. I came to Tennessee because you want to be a part of an iconic program where the fan base is passionate, loves it, breathes it. It's 365 days out of the year. I said in my introductory press conference, when it's recruiting season, they care about recruiting. They care about spring ball. They want to know what's going on in summer workouts. You want to be at a place where football matters 365 days out of the year. The passion of our fan base is unsurpassed anywhere. And it's our challenge as coaches and players to celebrate the great traditions there, but put a new age approach on it and get us back to where we need to be.
We'll stay on the front row here, Coach, to your right.
Hey, Coach. Mike Lucas, KX TV and College Station. It's a two-part question, but they're tied together. What's the quarterback situation like for you guys? And as a former quarterback, when you look around the conference, how high is the quarterback level throughout the SEC right now?
Quarterback battle for us, we got 4 guys that are vying for it right now. 3 of them were there during the course of spring ball. I think it's really important that you give players an opportunity to grow from the last time that they stepped on the field in spring ball. You give them opportunity to understand your system better, grow physically and fundamentally throughout the course of the summer, and then you get into training camp. And guys are going to earn more reps. Guys are going to earn their way out of the race as well. But you got to give them that opportunity. I think it's imperative that your football team, offensively, defensively, staff, understand that when you pick a guy, he's earned the right to be your guy. Inevitably for him, there's going to be great plays. There's going to be a couple bad plays too. He's got to respond the right way, but the guys around him got to believe in him too. And so you got to go through that process. And as a guy earns the right to be our guy, that's when we'll name a starter.
Coach, to your left, front row.
Coach Dan Harrelson, Ballswire. You mentioned your playing days. Just talk about maybe some of the coaches that you played for, or even coached for when you started getting into coaching. Have you taken anything from those coaches, whether it's offensive concepts or just how to run a program into your early stages of UCF and now here?
Yeah, I think you're taking bits and pieces from all of them, right? As a player, I got my start because of Mike Leach, right? That's the guy that recruited me when he came from Kentucky at that time and introduced throwing the football in Oklahoma. Played for a legendary coach and Bob, and coached for him as well. And just how he handled everything inside of his program, was never too high, never too low. His ability to communicate. You take things from all those guys. Matt Wells when I was with him, Barry Odom at Missouri. A guy that I still talk to quite a bit is Brent Venables, and just as a player watching him, how he communicated, how he handled his players, the effort that he put into it, the detail, and then being around him as an assistant coach at the same time as him.
Coach, to your right, second row.
Hi, Coach. Angela Moria, News 12 in Chattanooga. You keep mentioning New Age philosophy. What is New Age to you? How do you define it?
New Age, different in the way that we play offensive football, different in the tempo that we play, different in the way that we approach every single day, how we lift, how we train, different in the way that we communicate and interact with our players, different in the way that we celebrate our time away from the game together. And to me, I think that's really important. You got to it's about the player experience, right? And just having been a player, right? I've hoisted a national championship trophy. It's important. It was awesome. It's memorable, right? But that's not the only piece of it. That player experience is important. So giving them some of the ownership in the things that matter, and that might be different uniform combinations, whatever it might be, letting them have a great experience.
Coach, to your left, front row.
Coach Jake Nichols with Sports Illustrated Volunteer Country. Can you speak a little bit on that player experience, on the relationships that have been created so far? You talk about creating that family and making sure that that's done. Bayless and Alante both mentioned that you're around a lot, that you're really with your guys, and that they've really seen those bonds formed so far in and outside of the locker room. What's that been like to watch?
I think you're constantly growing in that way. That's never a final product. You never get to an end result. It's something that you got to do every single day. And I think it's, one of the things I've learned is that every interaction has such a ripple effect to it. And you got to be very mindful of every interaction that you have and never speak out of emotion, right? Always speak from passion, but never emotion. And, as I got there and our staff got to Knoxville, it was one of the things that they felt like was missing, but it's got to be a foundational piece of who we are, not just for the 7 months leading up to kickoff, but who we are every day from here on this point forward. And those are relationships that matter to me as a player. I want to be that and have those relationships as a coach as well. I look at my dad's experiences, long-time Division II head coach, and the relationships that he's formed and maintained and the impact that you have on lives. That part of college football matters to me too. And you can work really hard. You can strain every day inside of the game, but you can have a heck of a lot of fun while you're doing it, and you can create great bonds that last forever outside of the game too.
Coach, to your right, front row.
Coach, in talking with your players, there's a lot of enthusiasm and excitement about the system you're bringing in and your offense. In year one, what's your focus on getting this program back on track and, to build towards this kind of success you had at UCF?
Yeah, I think you can't get caught up in the long-term goal, right, of, a certain amount of wins or a certain amount of productivity. You got to focus on what you can control, and your controllable is today. It's one of the things we've been talking and stressing to our football team. The tempo and the pace that we want to play with, right? We want that on offense, but we want that same aggressive mentality on the defensive side of it. And talking to our players, that's one of the things that they struggled with previously, and we want those guys to play with their hair on fire, cut it loose, let it rip on game day, not be afraid of making a mistake. And that's what we've tried to implement while creating a competitive environment inside of our building every day, but one in which our players feel free to go let it rip.
Coach, to your left on the fourth row.
Eric Kane, the sports animal, VolQuest.com. You mentioned your dad coached Division II, longtime Division II head coach. Where did he coach?
Northern State University, Aberdeen, South Dakota. He was a defensive coordinator. I grew up on the other side of the ball and sitting in linebacker and DB meetings.
Good deal. Well, my question is, Joey Halsey mentioned back in the spring that when you evaluate a quarterback, you're looking for mentals up here, and then accuracy, and then mobility. That's kind of the checklist. Would you have anything else to add to that when you're kind of evaluating and deciphering which quarterback is best for your offense?
Man, there's 1,000 other things that go into it, right? The guys that play at the highest level. But I think ultimately they got to be a great competitor, right? Like that's got to be their driving force every day. Having an extreme competitive nature. It drives them when you're not around them. And that's got to be transcended throughout your entire football team too. And your championship teams, it comes from the guys and the accountability and the standards inside of the locker room. Your quarterback's got to be a huge piece of that.
Coach, far right, third row.
Chase McCabe, ESPN 102.5 The Game in Nashville. Coach, with NIL and with the more open transfer portal, that line between collegiate sports and professional is becoming more and more blurred. How important is it to allow opportunities to continue to evolve, but also keep what makes college sports special intact?
Man, one, you don't want to lose what's special about college sports, which is a growing experience for young men, 18 to 22, 23 years old. Transform, prepare them for life while giving them every tool to go chase their dreams inside of the game, right? Like it's one of the most special times in your life, having gone through it as a player. We've completely embraced, and our staff has too, right? The name, image, and likeness is an opportunity for kids to capitalize on some of the opportunities that in some ways that they've earned. And I look back on my career, I think that would have been an opportunity that was missed at that time. But I think it changes the landscape and the scope of how your kids think when they walk onto your campus too. They now are thinking so much more about building a brand, building their resume, who and what they need to do, the decisions that they need to make. I think it's got an opportunity to accelerate their growth curve as young men as well.
We have time for two questions. First, your front row, Coach, to your left.
Anthony Patterson with the Atlanta Voice newspaper. Coach, I know the talk of the town is the quarterback battle. Got four awesome quarterbacks. but one in particular is Harrison Bailey's from the state of Georgia, the state champion. What are some things you've seen from him that you liked and know for sure that he can bring to the table?
Smart, competitive. He cares about his teammates. He's going to push them in a really positive way every single day. He's going to pour into his teammates. He's one of the first guys in the building every single day. It matters to him greatly, and that's why he's continued to grow so much inside of our program.
Final question for Coach to your right front row.
I know it's your first season in the SEC, Coach, but there have been talks about possibly expanding to a 9-game league schedule as opposed to an 8-game. Would you be in favor of adding that extra league game, or do you like it where it's at with 8 games at the moment?
Man, I have absolutely no thoughts. I haven't thought about that at all at this point. I'm trying to control our own controllables in Knoxville right now.